37 of my GEMP game review series. I'm your host, Chris Gogolen. Thank you all for joining us this evening. Looks like we got about 9 or 10 people watching right now. Before we jump into the game review, obviously we'll do some recap of some other stuff that's been going on. First off, the Match Play Championships are coming up in 8 weeks, 9 weeks. That is the next big North American championship live event. I'll be in New Brunswick, New Jersey, where it's been for the last 8 years now. All the information can be found on the PC forums. We've got 17 players signed up so far out of a possible 64 in the bracket. I don't know if we're going to get to 64 this year. Hoping, but I'm sure we'll get at least in the 50s, and the top seeds might get a bye. But definitely always a great time at that event. It's an NCAA style bracket tournament. For those of you unfamiliar with the tournament, you can find all of the details here, the hotel information, schedule of events, some information about how the tournament works. But I just also want to point out the European Championships have been scheduled as well. That's July 12th through the 14th. So if you are a European player, that would be your next big event. There's also, if you go into the tournaments section here on the forums, somehow I got that minimized, there are all kinds of additional events coming up. They just had their big Germany tournament, the Raltier Regional, there's the Welsh Open. So there's all kinds of events going around if you're not in the United States. My cat's being very chatty. I'm kind of just making sure he's not stuck somewhere. He has a tendency to do that. So, come here, buddy. He's playing hide and go seek in my bathroom. Thank you, Queso, for renewing your subscription for the 4th consecutive month. Very nice of you to do that. That's the other thing, of course. If you have your Twitch Prime, if you have your Amazon Prime account, make sure and link it to Twitch, and then you get 1 free subscription each month. You click that little purple button up in the top right corner that says subscribe, and the Players Committee gets a little bit of money. It costs you nothing because Twitch gave it to you for free, and it gives us a little bit of revenue so we can continue to do all these streams and stuff. Even if you don't have the ability to subscribe right now, click the purple heart. Make sure you are following us at least. Followers are good too. Certainly helps us out any way we can, but we appreciate the subscriptions. When you have certain numbers of followers and other things like that, you get other perks and benefits as well. Always trying to grow our content. Looks like we're at just over 300 followers now, which is awesome. So thank you very much for that as well. So like I said, there's all kinds of live tournaments, but if you can't make it out to one of those, what you can do is play online. The 2019 Online Championship Series has been underway here since the beginning of February. We're 11 days in, 81 season pass holders now. Absolutely insane that we had 47 last year, and I'm hoping to get a few more because there's some other people who haven't signed up yet. So we certainly could get a few more season pass holders and possibly be in. We might actually double it. If we get to 94, we double up last year, and that would be absolutely awesome. There are plenty of games left to be played. It's easier to get foils this year. We covered all that in previous shows. But all the information can also be found here on the PC forums. But we are going to take a quick peek at the standings. We've already had 2 players go 12-0 and go undefeated. In 2018, it only happened twice. It happened month 1 when Steve Salucci did it, and it happened month 8 when Johnny Chu did it. So to have 2 players, a Rebel Spy and Chris Kelly, Joe Olson and Chris Kelly, both do it. Congratulations to those guys. It's a very impressive, obviously very impressive thing to do. We were talking about it, earlier, how 10-2 was kind of the benchmark for a lot of the people who qualified last year. In those qualifying months, they kind of needed a 10-2 record, and how that may not have held up when Gavino got there. And it hasn't. Obviously, it's only the top 2 qualify each month. So unfortunately, Gavino, 10-2, great performance, but it's going to come up a little short. And I actually went back and looked at last February, which was the free month that we gave away to the Players Committee. We gave everybody a free month, just to test it out. We were testing out how the platform worked, how the tournament format and everything worked to make sure everything was good. We didn't want to charge anybody for the first month because obviously we want to make sure it was all good and up and running, and then there were no logistical issues. And there were 120 players who signed up, but only like 90 or so players actually played more than like 2 games. A number of guys signed up and then didn't play, or signed up, played 1 game, and were like, okay, I don't have time for this, or I don't know what this is, or I don't like this, or this is way too competitive for me. Whatever reason they chose not to continue to participate. And in that month, we had the 112-0, like I said, and we had 4 guys go 11-1 that month, and 3 of them didn't qualify. Chris Kelly being one of those players. So to go 11-1 in the first month and not qualify certainly had to be a big, shot in the pills. And he came out this year. He actually he didn't qualify last year. He was the points leader. So he got the one at-large bid on the last day of the season by beating Greg Shaw in a match that we did live stream and feature. The 2 of them were the point leaders, 1 and 2, and they were 1 point apart. So whoever won that game between them was going to be the one person to qualify. But now Chris Kelly, I'd like to say he punched his ticket month 1, but there's certainly some other guys who could get in the mix here, who still have a chance to run the table and go undefeated. And of course, looking right here, Silver Glen, number 11, 8-0. He only needs 4 more wins, and he'd be there too. And then we start coming into tiebreakers and win percentages, and the fact that you could go 12-0 and possibly not qualify. I can't imagine what that heartbreak would feel like. Like, I've gone, to major tournaments, and I've been the bubble boy. It's kind of a running joke for a while. Luckily, it's not happened lately. I've, either clearly made the top 8 or clearly been nowhere near the top 8. But when you're number 9, it's kind of a big letdown. So hopefully, it's going to be close to C. We've got, Silver Glen, like I said, at 8-0 right there, and then you go down a little further, and I think there's a couple people. Lenny was 6-0. Oh, Lenny's 5-1. Okay, so he must have lost a game. I think that's about it right now. Silver Glen at 8-0. Wise has at least 1 loss. That's 2 losses. I think that's 7-2. There's still going to be plenty of good months. Then we go down a little bit further. Killer Kiwi 4-0. Hayes is 4-0. Obviously, some of these guys have a lot more games left to play. Play gets 3-0. So they have some work to do. Obviously games get harder, especially as you get later in the month and people are trying to get their games in to qualify. There's still a number of players over here who really haven't played much in it at all. Brian Fred's only played 2 games. Emil Wallen's only played 1. Plenty of other players over here who still need to get their games in. So we'll certainly see. Yeah, that's a good point, Chris Kelly. Chris Kelly, in Minnesota Worlds, he tied for 8th place. It was a true tie with tiebreakers, and they had to basically go down to a coin flip to figure out who 8th was. It was kind of crazy, too. So, but, yes, number 9 does get foils. So at least there is that. At least at live events. At live events, top 9 get the exclusive foils. But so still plenty of games left to play. But for the OCS, it's only the top 2 qualify each month. But there are at least 2 point leaders who will overall point leaders who will get spots. So don't forget about those. So if you're thinking like, oh wow, these guys both went 12-0, what's my point? I'm playing the rest of my games. There's no way I can get to 12-0 and qualify. I'm 5-1. Well, finish out your games because A, you got to get to 8 to get the foil, and if you get to 12, you get the second foil, second copy of the foil. It's the same one. You don't get 2 different foils. And then, obviously you want to have a good running total because at the end of the 7-month period, the top 2 people point totals that don't already have a qualifier will advance into the playoffs as well. And of course, all the details can still be found here. The individual $10 monthly registration for February is closed, but you can still purchase the season pass, and if you do that even after the February 8th deadline, which has passed now, I'll probably still add you to the list. I don't know if you'll have time to get all your games in for February, but at least you'll be set up into the season pass holder list so you can get your games going after that for March and April. But I do want to go ahead and jump into a game here. Actually, I'm going to go back to the lobby because there's not much going on in the lobby tonight. Looks like there's nothing going on. I'm wondering, is there like a server restart imminent? Because it's weird that there'd be all these people in the lobby and nobody's playing. So I was wondering if there might be some type of server reboot coming, but maybe everybody's just watching my show and they don't feel like playing and watching at the same time. But I do want to take a look at this game. This one occurred earlier this week between Jared Napolitano and Brian Mischke. I caught the last 5 minutes of the game, and it looked like Jared was going to win, and then he did something that I don't think he realized how it would work, and ended up losing the game just barely. Spoiler alert. But I did want to go back through the whole game and review it, and then obviously see what we can point out, a few things that the rest of the audience might benefit from learning some of these interactive rules. Yeah, thanks, Wayne. I'm I'm clearly way more entertaining than just hanging out in the GEMP lobby, right? So Jared's playing a Hoth CRV Walker deck. He had not updated it for set 10. He did realize afterwards there were a couple of additional set 10 cards that would be beneficial to the deck, including the new Marquand in Blizzard 6, which would be a good addition, as well as switching out Established Control for Kuat Drive Yards. And then you would need to play like the Effect Pullers and the Bridge for activation, and play this in like Core Lag. He could just play Mustafar and Vader's Castle, more of a guaranteed force activation early on, and saves a couple of deck slots as well. You do lose the Admiral's Order. We're in attack position now, which does do a little bit of ping damage with your generals, Veers and Navarre, at related sites, but certainly an opportunity to add other ways to put in ping damage, like Rebel Base Occupation or something, if you really want the additional pings. And he'll be taking on Brian Mischke, playing a looks to be a standard Throne Room mains deck. Brian just activates, pulls a docking bay, and draws and says go. Oh, there you go. He was looking for the Wisa that I guess he realized was in his force pile, so he'll get his Boss Nash Chambers with that. Oh, and a Rescue in the Clouds. Okay. Yeah, I do like the. I think there's a few more CRV options that have opened up a little bit, between, Hoth now getting a little bit of a boost. Coruscant has been a stronger version to play it off of, but now with the possibility of doing like a Kuat, Mustafar, to get better activation, I feel like you're going to see more variety in some of the CRV decks. Maybe see Tatooine CRV as well, because then they don't need to rely on like Tatooine Jabba's Palace and do that pull chain. They could do more, get Mustafar, get that, and then play other Tatooine sites or something. So, but in this case, we're still working off Established Control. He's going to grab Fondor, which is just as good as Core Lag. Certainly gives you a better range in this particular deck, because if you're at 4 or 5, I mean, you can still go all the way to 8, but he's not playing Executor, I don't think, so Executor's a little too expensive in this deck. But we do have the virtual ice planes. There was always a problem with You May Start Your Landing, where it says once per game may take both Walker Garrison and third marker into hand from reserve deck. So if you happen to get a Walker Garrison in your opening hand, you were screwed and you couldn't pull your third marker, because you have to take both at the same time to complete the pull. So what the Players Committee did was make this virtual site, fifth marker, once per game may exchange an interrupt from hand with bottom card of your reserve deck. So if you happen to get the Walker Garrison in your hand, you can put it on the bottom of your reserve deck and draw that card instead, and then do your once per game pull and take the Walker Garrison in the site. It was a very good fix. kind of been a long time coming. It was easier to do rather than trying to errata a decipher card to say and or, I guess. But definitely glad that it did get done. Excuse me. So in this case, he put trample back, and then he just pulled the docking bay. I'll get another docking bay. And it looks like Brian activated 6 on his turn, pulled the docking bay, dropped the Boss Nash Chambers, played Speak to get the Jedi Council Chamber, drew 1 or 2 cards, and just said go. So Brian's sitting on 12 activation with 4 more behind it, and a full 12 card hand. Well, it's not a full 12 card hand, but you know, everyone likes to stay at that 12 card limit. So certainly going to be have to be very cautious in how Darkside approaches here. You notice Darkside didn't put out their 3rd marker because they don't want Lightside to get there first. It's always harder, you know, to try and get guys off your sights rather than defending when they come attack you at them, because then you have the ability to try and, you know, do things like barrier and counter beat and that kind of stuff. You are dictating the terms a little more. So let's see what he does do here. So he drops Piet and Nemit. What does Nemit do? Once per game, may deploy, download an Imperial class Star Destroyer. That's pretty cool. While piloting Avenger, it is immune to attrition less than 4, and during battle may lose an Imperial aboard or from hand to cancel a just drawn destiny. Causes a redraw if opponent's first battle destiny. So he doesn't cancel the first battle destiny, he makes them redraw it by losing an Imperial off the ship or from hand. Okay, not bad. It does give the Avenger some immunity to less than 4, which switching to Kuat would also give it the same immunity. And Avenger is one of the ships you do want to play because it's also one of those Death Squadron ships that you can pull. I think it's Avenger, Stalker, Tyrant, and Vengeance are the 4 Star Destroyers that you can pull with that. And Kuat makes them immune to less than 4 and draw by themselves if unable to otherwise. So you don't even need pilots on them. I mean, obviously you want pilots, so that way you don't have to forfeit the whole ship. But, you know, this also could be a guy who possibly could not make the cut or no longer be needed. Somebody, you might find a different commander or something that you could use instead. So it looks like he's just going to free up a little hand space. He's going to put these guys over here. Because of established control, they will give him an extra +1 activation. And then he will draw a couple of cards, and he does find his Avenger. And there goes a Tantive to Fondor. That has like funky game text, that Fondor. If you occupy, all opponents' Corellian Corvettes are forfeit -4. So that Tantive is would only actually be this thing 7, so it'd be forfeit 3. That's interesting. Yeah, Fondor does have some weird game text there. Yeah, you could cancel Weapon Destinies, which certainly with the hidden base running around until that gets addressed. Nemit does have some value there. It's a good point, Queso. Tea Earl Grey hot. And we get Solo and Rey aboard the Tantive, so that's pretty solid there. 11 power, 2 battle destiny, the ability to play an Interrupt from the Lost pile if there were any. So it looks like he's going to burn the Walker Garrison. Yep. So he's going to deploy Veers, and then he's going to play the Walker Garrison, not to the add to the drain part, the other part of the Walker Garrison, which says if Veers is at a Hoth site, you can take into hand a AT-AT. So he'll do that. He'll drop his 3rd marker, probably docking bay transit these guys over from here over to here. then they'll all get in, and possibly Veers will pilot. These guys will be passengers, and they'll move out to the third marker. You have to be mildly afraid of Chewie with Bowcaster. You know, your Tempest Scouts are, for the most part, Armor 7. Blizzard 2 is Armor 8. You know, not the easiest thing in the world to hit, but it means slightly harder than, slightly the same as like hitting a Jedi Master or something, so certainly possibilities. And he got his Admiral's Order. He plays Battle Order. Mishki's going to forgo the drain, and he's going to come try and, you know, clear this site. So he's going to put Luke and probably one or two other guys. There's Captain Hera, who will draw a second Battle Destiny. Oh, Nemeth might actually get to work. Oh, it's only while he's piloting the Avenger that he does all this cool stuff. So he doesn't really do anything while there. And there's the Chewie with Bowcaster that we were just talking about. And Chewie's going to catch a barrier. And the barrier's going to get sensed. He does have There Is No Try, though. He did pull that out, so that's a good read. And he draws a 6. Wah, 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 wah. That's a bad break for Brian. Probably, you know, well, there's probably like 6 or 7 6s in the deck between the Jedi Lukes, the Fly Casuals, and maybe a Jedi's Resilience or something. And then he's going to trample Hera. So the barrier goes through, and he gets the ability to now play the trample on Hera, which is going to get grabbed and then sensed again. Curious, I guess, that he didn't try and sense the... Oh, I'm sorry, this is sense from the Lost Pile that Solo's playing. But still, curious that he didn't try to sense the barrier twice. I guess he realized, either didn't realize he could do it, or wasn't thinking that he was going to need to do it, and then the trample obviously comes out now. And then he's like left with no choice. But he doesn't battle. He's going to pass and he's going to wait. So you will get the 1 ping from You May Start Your Landing. And Tarkin's going to come down, and Tarkin's going to get a bounty. And we'll see what cards he has to pick from. Okay. I actually managed to pause it this time. So what do we got? Oh, we got Blizzard Scout 1. That's the card I'd be thinking about pulling out of here. Because Blizzard Scout 1, during battle, if with your piloted AT-AT, may cancel game text of an opponent's character present. So you grab that, and then during battle, as your first action, you cancel Chewie's game text. And then Chewie can't shoot. So that would be what I would take. And that's what Jared takes too. Good job. Yeah, I do my own sound effects there. I'm like Michael Winslow. Peeks at the top card. It's the other thing Tarkin's orders, or Tarkin's bounty does. A lot of people forget this extra text. If on Tarkin, once per turn, peek at top card of any reserve deck. I point that out a lot. Hopefully I can keep drilling that into people's head and that sticks, because I've seen a lot of great players forget about that little blurb of text. And, you know, Star Wars cards, sometimes they have 2 or 3 functions into them, and we all get tunnel visioned into, I know what this card does. It does A. And it's like, yes, but it also does B. And B is pretty good too. So now he's going to completely dump his hand here. We're going to get Ozzel piloting the Blizzard Scout. So he's got good power, lots of forfeit. He uses Piat to take a commander. And he grabs Krennic. And he's going to go for the battle. He'll cancel Chewie's game text. That will keep Chewie from firing. And then he'll go ahead and play Imperial Command to limit light side to 1 destiny, because he has a general in a battle at a site. And with the grabber already used on the trample, it means commands are going to get to be abused this game. He draws a 1. Tarkin can redraw that because it's less than the number of Imperials present. That's one of Tarkin's extra game texts. Okay, 4 is pretty solid. He's looking to beat... He needs to get... His 2 destiny need to be higher than 6. He's got to cause light side to lose 2 characters or Luke. And he draws Blizzard 4 twice. So he gets a total of 8 out of things. So like I said, it's either going to be Luke or both of the other characters. And that'll be a destiny of 6. 6 could be Ozzel. Does Nemeth cover 6? Nemeth's 4 plus 2 from the Imperial Arrest Order, so Nemeth is 6. Okay. And Brian does opt to lose Luke and the lightsaber. And people often ask, you know, why do you play Imperial Arrest Order, the regular version? Why don't you play the combo so you can save yourself the Secret Plans shield? Because the combo version only makes your Imperials forfeit +1, whereas the non-combo makes them forfeit +2. How often does that really come into play? Well, that last battle he drew a 6. He can forfeit someone like Nemeth or someone like Ozzel and cover 6, as opposed to having to lose someone like Veers or Tarkin, who are much stronger characters. It does add up. Chewie's going after Tempest 1. This could be brutal. Sorry about the mess. Non-combo. That doesn't have the canceller for it. And Brian gets unlucky again with his destiny draws and draws a 7. This is one of those games for Brian where he's just kind of drawn things for the wrong things at the wrong time. He drew the 6 for the sense. He drew the low destiny for the weapon swing. Luke number 2 is not a surprise. There's at least 4 in every throne room mains deck. Some people are running 5. Haven't seen anybody really use 6, but 4 or 5 is usually the number. And why not? He's Destiny 6. Oh, and Lando's coming as well. So now this will be an interesting choice. Chewie will get a second shot. He had a couple characters in there, like Padme, but he also had a bunch of 5s and 6s. So if he can draw a 5 on the second one, he'll be okay. He draws a 4 again. This game should be going a lot differently for Brian, and now I understand why it was so close at the end. Spoiler alert. So Tarkin's Bounty checks out the top card of Darkside's reserve deck. It canceled Hera's game text. It could cancel Hera or Lando. Either one kind of has the same result here in removing a battle destiny. It draws a Corn Horn and an EPP Obi, which are probably the 2 of the lowest cards in the deck. I mean, I did see a Profundity in there as well, but... And again, his total battle destiny is 6. So if Darkseid can draw fairly decently here, they might get out of this battle with just losing like Ozzel. That's kind of ballsy. He drew a 5 for the first destiny. He's going to try and redraw the 3. He gets lucky and redraws a 4. But with the number of characters, vehicles, and starships that are probably floating around through his reserve deck still, he very easily could have drawn a 1 there, and then he's only at 6. Where he was with his other total, he would have had an 8 for total battle destiny, which would have again either killed Luke or gotten rid of 2 characters. And Darkseid gets away with just forfeiting Ozzel. And we see Luke die again. Okay. And he had just enough force left to upkeep Lando. And at this point in time, Darkseid has to start asking themselves, how long can they keep avoiding Chewie? Oh. Well, when you check the top of your opponent's reserve deck and you see a 1 there, That kind of tells you you might be okay to battle here and have to deal with Chewie's blaster swing. Now, the one thing to also keep in mind here is Lando's game text, because Lando says the opponent initiates battle, retrieve one force, and add its destiny number to Lando's power. So Lando can get cards back as well. So you'll make sure he's probably the game text you want to end up canceling this time around. Whereas before it didn't matter between Hera and Lando. When you battle Lando, you kind of want to cancel his game text. There's the Goldenrod. We saw 2 Blizzard 4s in the deck, so probably not anything to worry about there. Decrees, Grabber, Justice. There you go. Justice with Veers or evac control with Commander Luke are pretty interesting strategies there. So Justice says that you are both players are prevented from drawing more than one battle destiny. But Veers, who should be here, draws 2 if unable to otherwise. Same thing with Commander Luke when he's piloting a Rogue One. He draws 2 if unable to otherwise. So when this says you only draw 1, this overrides it and says, no, you draw 2 because you're not able to draw 2 otherwise. So light side will be limited to just 1 destiny draw. Dark side will still get 2. You can use the Blizzard Scout, cancel Chewie's game text freely now. Justice will limit him to 1 destiny, so you don't have to worry about canceling either of their game texts instead. And he wisely does those in the right order, not just pulling a card off Justice blindly, in which case that would allow Chewie the opportunity to shoot. If you cancel Lando's game text, yes. So Lando retrieves the card, adds to his power, and then I believe if you cancel Lando's game text, he loses the power bonus. 99% sure that's how that works. So. Alright, so we just go to Battle Destiny here, and light side is only going to get 1, dark side's going to get 2. And dark side draws a 7, which should get rid of Lando. And he just draws the Profundity, which was a nice little low Destiny 1 there. And he throws away Krennic. Pretty quickly, too. I don't know that I would have lost Krennic there, to be honest with you. I probably would have lost Piet. Piet's not adding anything to power right now. I mean, yes, he could get out and get over here and get in. But Krennic has a dual feature. We know most light side main decks play Jyn Erso. She just seems to be pretty common in a lot of them. So having this built in to force loss for being with her, instead of trying, now that your trample's already been grabbed, you may not have you might have 1 other trample, but you may not have another way of spy removal. So if you win this site and then they're like, fine, you can have it, and then just throw Jyn down and you can't find your other trample, or you gets grabbed and they sense it, Krennic would at least give you the option to be able to still do 2 damage a turn, which at this point, Piet's not doing anything for you. He's an admiral you can move into space to then play Imperial Command with, but you don't necessarily need Imperial Command right now because you still have a couple cards on Justice. That's just my opinion. So Piet gets out to apply his personal power, and Tarkin moves over to the Blizzard Scout, and then he does draw a couple of cards. So I guess he's figuring, well, Chewie's not going to shoot Piet. What else can Brian really have? Well, we've already lost one Luke with lights. Two Lukes have already gone. See, there's Jyn Erso. I swear I didn't watch this part of the game. I only caught the last 5 minutes of the game, but in my mind, that's just kind of how this was going to play out at some point. Qui-Gon easily could have also come down. Qui-Gon swings, hits Piet, Blizzard, Chewie shoots. I mean, you only would have gotten one swing because you would have canceled the game text of whatever other character, I guess, with the Blizzard Scout. So, like, Chewie shoots, and then Qui-Gon doesn't get the swing. So Piet, I guess, was safe. Unless it was another Luke with a third Luke with a second saber. Would have been the only scenario where that wouldn't have worked out. But now he's got the trample, and he can check the top card of his reserve deck with Tarkin's Bounty, which he does wisely. And then he'll cause the 1 force loss. Brian's down to 4 cards in hand. He's already lost 1 sense and already used Solo to play it from the loss pile. Oh. Oh no. He opts not to trample. He had it. It was a 4. Jin's only a 3 ability. I don't know if he was afraid of their tracking us, subtracting 1 from it. But he certainly missed an opportunity there to trample Jyn. And he's going to no escape back the cold feet. I guess, well, A, he's shield busted, so he's going to want to go ahead and do that and get himself a secret plan shield, because you never know when there'll be some retrieval. And then I guess we're going to see the Avenger go to Hoth, and then Piet shuttle up and the Admiral's Order come out. Or possibly just Mahdi. Admiral's Order and then Mahdi. Or both. The Admiral's Order also makes Admirals deploy -2. Other pilots are -1. So Mahdi actually only costs 1 to put down. And now he'll make it immune to less than 5. From the Admiral's Order being less than 4. And then he adds 1 to it. So the Avenger's immune to less than 5. And then he's just going to draw some cards. I guess he didn't. He was afraid of their tracking us, subtracting 1 from it, and wasting his last trample pull or trample attempt since it's already grabbed. And he's going to top deck some cards. That'll, I guess, hopefully get him closer to down to that 5. But if he had kept Krennic, he'd have been doing 2 force loss and wouldn't have cared about Jyn. Jyn may not have even been deployed. Because basically it's a waste of force. You're spending a 4 force to deploy Jyn, who blocks a drain of 2, but is now with Krennic, who makes you lose 2. So there's really no point to even deploying her. You'd almost rather, especially with him not satisfying battle plan, he'd rather make him pay 3 to drain for 2. Oh, there's Vader. Very much like to have him. That's the other benefit of doing the Mustafar Castle stuff, is that you can do the once per game, get Vader, and then move him, over to one of your Hoth battlegrounds. So, yeah, I took this deck list. I made a few of the updates and changes myself, just kind of playing around with it a little bit, and played a fun game with it the other day. I think it was Saturday or Sunday, just for funsies. It seemed like it was working pretty well, but obviously I need more practice with it. So we get a drain of 1 at Hoth. You get 1 ping from the Admiral's Order over here for having a general at a battleground site. And now he's going to go for the trample. Because this is the 5. Here comes the sense. Well, That is unfortunate. It does make you wonder, too, did Brian have the sense last turn, or was it one of the couple of cards that he drew at the end of his turn? Loses Corrin and Padme, so he's down 2 more characters. He had some pretty good destiny in there. It wasn't the 5 on top either, it was another 4. So I don't know why he didn't go for the trample on Jyn last turn, but he did not. Oh, he picks up Imperial Domination. That's another fun card. Let's read that one real fast. This is like a scum and villainy kind of thing for Imperials. It's lost if you're non-Imperial character or starship on table, so if you're playing only Imperials, which means no droids, which means no U-3PO or anything like that, unless you occupy fewer locations than opponent, which he currently does, if you win a battle, retrieve an Imperial, and during battle, may take an Imperial just drawn for Destiny into hand to cancel and redraw that. So if he gets another Battleground or 2, then when he wins the battle, he gets to retrieve a guy, and if he happens to draw a guy for Destiny, he gets to take him into hand and draw a second Destiny instead. Not a lot of decks that use that. Imperial Entanglements being the most commonly used deck, because that one's only allowed to play Imperials anyway. You probably see that in some Ral Ops builds now as well. I'm sure some of them are just running straight Imperials and not messing around with like Maul and things like that. Which is still pretty good, but okay. Image of Dark Lord. That's a good one to go get. It's only a drain of 1 here. You can't put it over here because it only goes on planet sites. So you can slap it on the docking bay and make that basically a drain of 0. Well, that is a 5 on top. He's going to lose the other Admiral's Order, which he doesn't need. He's got his Blizzard Walkers pretty much on the most part in hand. But he is running low on life force here. Oh, now Luke's got a second lightsaber. Lightside is winning the drain race. They're both down about 13 cards, 12, 13 cards left face down. But Lightside is ahead in the drain race there. You've got 1 and 2, and then this is a drain of 2 as well. So they're doing 5, and Darkside is doing 3 damage back, 1 at the system, 1 for the Admiral's Order, and 1 for you may start your landing. Curious. Okay, so he moves the Avenger over. He doesn't play Thrawn because he's holding Thrawn back to try and be sneaky, because he's going to use Justice anyway, so he's going to limit both sides to 1 Destiny draw. So Thrawn's not going to do him a whole lot. But if the Tantive does stay in battle, and then one of these guys gets forfeited, now Lightside's only going to get 1 Destiny, and then Thrawn can come back over the top, plus the command, and then he can draw 3 Battle Destiny, and probably clear, Rey and the whole ship. I don't think the Tandem is going to stay. I think the Tandem's just going to move to Hoth. I think he's content to just trade these ground drains because he's ahead right now. I think now he's looking for like used interrupts and stuff that he can play and put back. And he just finally found the bridge how many turns later? Whereas if it was the castle, it would have been out turn 1. Or 2 if you activated it. he's going to try and alter the image of the Dark Lord. And it's alter V, so therefore it will not lose any force to there is no try. And it is successful. And now they will get a drain of 2 in there as well. Yep. Losing all the expensive stuff because he can't afford to deploy it really anymore. He's only got 7 cards down. You can't deploy an 8, an 8 deploy Star Destroyer when you only have 7 force left. Okay. Oh. Brian was going to add Anakin as an extra pilot. Anakin adds 1 to each draw. Are they thinking about it, or did the game get stuck here? Oh. It looks like they did not revert after all. So I guess they talked about something and decided whether or not he was going to allow the revert, and the decision was no. Or Brian changed his mind and decided he didn't want to revert after all, and he was okay leaving him there. And maybe now they're talking about it again in chat, or hopefully the replay link didn't freeze up. I know sometimes people try and do reverts, the link can freeze. That'd be unfortunate because we're like, I think I came in on the game on turn 10, so yep. Oh. Wah, 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 wah. Well, that's unfortunate that the replay link got glitched up when they did the revert. Yeah. All right. Well, as long as we have the link up, I will go ahead and talk about at least the mechanic that would have potentially won Jared the game. So this little vehicle here may move as a react. The situation that he had was he had guys here, and Lightside had guys here, and Blizzard Scout 1 was over here at the 5th marker with Admiral Mahdi. So obviously the game had progressed a little bit. People had moved and shuttled around and whatnot. They both had like 5 or 6 cards left. And Jin's cover was broken, and she was staring right across at them. And he initiated battle here, and I think it was like Luke or somebody against Veers and a Walker. And he didn't react Blizzard Scout 1 over because he didn't want to leave Mahdi to get his ass kicked by Jin. But the thing with reacting, when you react a vehicle and it has capacity slots, anybody who's at that location may embark aboard the vehicle before it moves, if it can hold them. Then the vehicle moves, and then anybody aboard can get back out. You embark, move, disembark. You can't do it the other way. You can't kick somebody off and leave them there and then move the vehicle over and then pick somebody new up at the new site. It's embark, move, disembark. And if he had done that, then he would have picked up Mahdi, would have moved over, would have won the battle, canceled whoever it was his game text. I think it was Ray's game text maybe or something like that. So she wouldn't have added 1 to the destiny draw. He would have drawn a 5. It would have lost only Mahdi, and then would have been able to like overflow and clear the site or whatever afterwards, or just drain through it or whatever. But he was afraid of Mahdi getting beat up at the 5th marker and forgot that whole little embark, move, disembark mechanic. So I did wanted to focus on that and at least mention that to everybody who was watching. I'm sorry we didn't get to see the end of the game, but again, that's a little glitch in GEMP sometimes. I'm going to take a quick second here and wet my palate. We'll pop back into the GEMP lobby in just a second, see if there's any games going on we can hop into and do a little live commentary on. As long as I'm doing that, housekeeping stuff, if you're not following the PC, please do so. Please click that little link and follow us. Also, if you scroll down a little bit down the page, you'll see some other panels. That's my personal Twitch and YouTube page. You can follow me on there. Always appreciate it. You'll also see Wise's Twitch page as well. Wise has been streaming all of his OCS games. We're going to try and get him a better headset microphone thing so you can actually, everybody can hear him. Because Tom's not a loud talker to begin with, and whatever microphone setting he's got going on has not been working out the greatest for him. But still follow Tom because he has some very in-depth commentary and strategy on his thought process throughout his games. But hold that thought. Alright, so let's pop back over to the GEMP lobby and see what's going on. Alright, so we got one guy waiting to get a light side game in. And then we've got 2 people already playing. Look down here, and there's plenty of people in the lobby.